I'm a 56-year-old widower. My children's mother, Claire, passed away 15 years ago. We had been together since middle school. I had never been with another woman, obviously. I dove into my children and my work. I finished raising 2 great kids with help from my parents, her parents, my sister and her husband. With my wife's life insurance money and the mortgage insurance, I had more money than I would ever need. I made sure my kids graduated from college without debt. I also bought each of them an apartment near their school where they could live and make some money by renting the spare rooms to friends. My daughter still has hers, and she rents it out every year to kids going to that school. My son sold his apartment and made enough money to buy his and his family's house. 5 years ago, I met Maggie, the woman I'm married to now. She was 32 and a single mother with 2 children, grammar school age. She worked at the front desk at the hotel where I worked for 11 months. We talked all the time and we clicked. When my job was coming to an end, she asked me out. I was flattered that such a pretty young woman would be interested in me. We had a nice date and I started traveling to see her. 1 year later, we got married and she moved into my home. I bought it for myself after I sold my old family home because I couldn't be there without Claire. When I sold the old house, my kids had graduated and lived in different cities. My children disapprove of Maggie. They think she's too young and is just with me for my money. They know that I paid for her to go to school full-time and finish her degree. She'd been taking classes part-time when we met. I became a stay-at-home dad when I wasn't working, and I paid for childcare when I was away. Maggie is currently working as a teacher. They also think that it's gross that an older man is using up her time and that she will have to take care of me when I get old and feeble. My dad is still going strong at 80. I told them to mind their own business and let us be happy. They will not. They started saying some very rude things and skipping out on visiting me. They told my grandchildren they should not be friends with my stepkids. When we came to see them this last Christmas, my grandchildren said things I would not repeat, but I could tell they were saying things my kids had said. We left the gifts we brought and came home. I told my wife that I was sorry for my children's behavior and that I didn't think she was a gold digger. I was sick of their disrespect for Maggie and me. I stopped helping them with extra money. They're both debt-free to the best of my knowledge and have good careers. I just tended to do things like upgrade their vacations and big purchases. For example, when my daughter bought her last car, I threw in $20,000 to make sure she got one with all the bells and whistles without having a huge car note. When my son took his family to Disney World, I paid for them to have a private tour guide so the kids could go on all the rides without waiting in line for hours in the Florida heat. Since Christmas, both of them have called me to ask for help. I said no both times. Just after Valentine's Day, they came for a visit, just the 2 of them. They asked me to meet with them without my wife present. I agreed and we had lunch. They said they're worried that Maggie uses undue influence to control me and my money. I told them I was not a senile old man. I have a prenup. I've done some things like set up education accounts for my new kids that used up money I hadn't planned on spending. I also adopted the kids. Before I did that, I also got a lawyer to get all the child support that Maggie was owed by her ex. He agreed to let me adopt the kids once he figured out he would be off the hook for any further child support. He hadn't bothered seeing them in the 3 years before I met Maggie. I told them that since they couldn't respect me, I was done subsidizing their lives. I said that my mom and dad were unlikely to leave me anything when they passed away and that they should expect the same from me. They stared at me in shock. I asked them why they thought they deserved any of the money I'd worked for if they couldn't treat me with respect. I said that I didn't expect them to treat Maggie as a mother figure since she's only a few years older than them, but they should have treated her kindly. When lunch was over, I paid my share of the bill and left. Both of them called me to say I was being an idiot trying to control them with my money. I said that I didn't ask them to change their behavior, I was just done tolerating it. My son is holding steady to his feelings and I have no problem with that. He can feel however he wants. I only have a problem with his behavior. My daughter has called me to apologize and say she would like a second chance to get to know Maggie and her new siblings. We'll get together in Mexico this summer when Maggie and all the kids are off school. My daughter and her husband are paying for their own flights and everything. I'm letting them stay at the guest suite in the condo complex where I have my vacation home. Am I the idiot for cutting off my adult children and telling them they lost their inheritance? They think she's too young and just with me for my money. OP, please be aware that what you tell us about investing your money in Maggie's career, legal struggles, parenting, and overall welfare doesn't prove that she's not a gold digger. I have no idea if she is. The impression I'm actually getting is that you, OP, are in the habit of using money to express love. You showed love for your adult kids by gifting them financially, and now you're showing love for the new wife and new kids by helping them financially. I have no idea how much the new wife is into the love equals financial support thing, but if I'm right and that's actually a pattern with you, then your kids are absolutely experiencing your indulgence of your new wife as a withdrawal of love from them. Please don't blame them, OP. If I'm correct, then you created a pattern. Yes, if you take a list of all of this, I don't necessarily blame OP's kids for being concerned. She makes the first move and then marries 1 year after the first date, which is a rush timeline with 2 small kids involved, even if you add the 11-month casual acquaintance. The new husband pays for schooling, childcare, child support, and college funds. He adopts the kids, putting himself financially responsible for the kids for at least another 10 years, even if they divorce. OP has mixed love with money for the bio kid's entire life. He's shocked when his kids get upset when he speedruns a second family and starts showering the new family with his love money. I won't speculate about Mrs. OP's motives as we have no information about her. I'm just going to say that a person who conflates generosity with love could be very happy with a gold digger. They might be perfect for each other. I, 33 female, and my sister, 27, are Caucasian Latinas. However, she's always been more tan than me, which she's always been very proud of. My skin tone is closer to Aubrey Plaza's, while hers is closer to Gina Rodriguez's. When we were younger, she constantly talked about how European I looked compared to her, how my hair looked more blonde than brown, which no one ever agreed with, and how certain colours I liked looked awful on me due to my skin tone. I rarely said anything because I was 6 years older and had better things to do. Also, while I did have many insecurities, I never doubted I was beautiful. Fast forward to now, we both have kids. My husband is a little more tan than me, and both our children, a male pre-tween and a female toddler, have the same skin tone as their father. However, my sister's ex and baby daddy was a very pale Swiss guy. My niece, kindergartner, is a fair-skinned girl with dark blonde hair, while my daughter is more tan and has dark brown hair. Everyone agrees that both girls are beautiful, but their skin tones have always bugged my sister. She insists that both girls are equally tan, that her daughter's hair is light brown, and that my daughter spends too much time in the sun. Last weekend we all had dinner at my father's place. My son brought his notebook and drew pictures of everyone at the table. He coloured my daughter's skin a darker shade than my niece's. He also gave my niece yellow hair and coloured my daughter's hair black. He lost his brown pencil. When he showed us the drawings, my sister frowned. He said he was exaggerating his cousin's features and that he could at least make her hair darker. When my niece said she loved the drawing, my sister told her it looked nothing like her and insisted my son was doing this on purpose. Before the kids could get upset, I pulled my sister aside and told her that she was being ridiculous. We had a very small fight in the next room. Near its end, I said something along the lines of, "Listen to me, your daughter is white. We're all white. You need to accept that and stop comparing the girls if you don't want niece's name to become insecure." We left shortly afterward, and none of the kids brought anything up again. My sister is angry with me. She told both our divorced parents about our fight. Our father thinks I shouldn't have commented on my niece's appearance and wants me to apologise to my sister. Our mom thinks this is dumb, I agree, but says my sister is overreacting. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot, and I hope your sister gets help. I feel so bad for your niece. Her mom's behaviour is no doubt going to impact her self-esteem. I can't imagine growing up with a mom like that. This girl will grow up thinking she will never be good enough for her mom. It's the worst feeling ever and takes a lot to work through. I don't know why your sister had a child with a white man if the features are so repulsive to her. I feel bad for her daughter and for you for all of her colorism. She's going to give that poor girl so many issues about herself. Your sister reached a new level of ridiculous when she saw malicious intent in the drawings of a pre-tween. Her behaviour has gone from annoying but manageable to including the kids, and that is not okay. You were right to call her out on it and should do so again if she continues to make this an issue. She told both our divorced parents about our fight. It always cracks me up how many grown adults I read about on here still run to mom and dad about fights with their siblings. I can't remember the last time I snitched on my brother and would feel absolutely ridiculous doing so at our ages. Your sister is ridiculous. Both of you have healthy, beautiful children. She should be thanking the Creator for that, not worrying about who is tan, not tan, blonde or whatever. I, 58-year-old female, invited everyone in my family to dinner at a nice restaurant for my husband's 60th birthday. I told everyone about the event a month ago. The guest list also included my daughter, Sarah, 24, and her wife, Elizabeth, 28. Elizabeth works in a demanding, stressful, but well-compensated corporate position. She does have a tendency to overwork herself. Unsurprisingly, she was late to dinner. Sarah said Beth had cleared her schedule for the day, but there was a last-minute issue and she had to leave for work. Mary made it while everyone else was starting dessert. She apologized, gave us a fancy bottle of wine as a gift, and sat down. We were all done and ready to go, but Elizabeth hadn't eaten yet. It was getting late, so as people started leaving, my husband and I also decided to leave as it was getting late. We didn't wait for Elizabeth to finish her dinner. The next day, I got a call from Sarah saying it was not okay for us to leave them alone like that. I explained and said it was getting late, but she insisted we stay. I may be an idiot here when I said maybe she needs to take off her rose-colored glasses about Elizabeth. She got upset and hung up the phone. Was I an idiot, or am I the idiot for leaving the restaurant even though my daughter-in-law hadn't finished eating dinner? She ordered an appetizer, but it took a while. Not the idiot. After the group has eaten the main course, a late arrival has effectively missed dinner and should not expect to order and eat. It was pushy and rude of Elizabeth to expect to eat, let alone have anyone wait for her. Someone in a high corporate position should know that and treat her in-laws better. Daughter-in-law only ordered an appetizer, but it still took a long time. Oh, interesting. It's very misleading of OP to state that Elizabeth didn't finish her dinner, which makes the reader assume that daughter-in-law ordered a meal. It's also convenient that the OP didn't mention a time estimate for how long they waited and only said a while. I feel like the OP is deliberately omitting information to sway the vote in her favour. Changing my vote to you are the idiot OP. Exactly, dinner definitely makes readers think that a full meal was ordered, which is what I assumed. There was no reason that OP and her husband couldn't have waited until their daughter-in-law finished her appetizer. It would probably only have been an extra 5 or 10 minutes at most. Plus, even OP's language choice is inflammatory, telling the daughter to remove her colour glasses, which implies multiple problems. OP is intentionally vague to present herself in a better light. Definitely an unreliable narrator, and that rose-coloured glasses crack shows your underlying dislike of her daughter-in-law. I, 26 female, recently attended my friend Becca's 28 female bachelorette party in Paris. I had recently been diagnosed with an illness or disability that severely impacts my mobility and had led to considerable weight gain, making it difficult for me to look at myself in the mirror. I communicated this to the bride beforehand, explaining that I would participate in photos minimally because I'm struggling with self-image and serve as the designated photographer. Upon arriving in Paris, the planning did not account for my limitations. When I suggested using Uber or taking the metro for transportation and meeting everyone at each destination, I was met with accusations of being boring by the bride. I decided to suck it up and go through the walks. Despite enduring 2-hour walks and being left behind by the bridal party anyway, it again made me wonder why I was being made to put myself through pain when I would just be left behind and ignored. I wish I was kidding when I say taking photos of the bride would last around 5 hours. Whenever any of the bridal party would branch off to do anything other than take photos of the bride, like take phone calls or even run off to get food or drinks for the room, I think back to when I went to get some ice to ice my ankle as well, we'd be labelled as boring. The situation escalated when I was coerced into solo photos for Instagram, despite my protests due to body dysmorphia. Feeling uncomfortable and disrespected, I reluctantly complied but waved away at the photos, not wanting to look at them, and then got a bunch of sighs and eye-rolling from the bride. We sat down to eat at a restaurant and we were made to go through photos while eating dinner, taking more photos. I nodded politely. I just wanted to sit, enjoy good food and talk, and again I was happy to take the photos. The bride got extremely mad at me this time, saying, "You know you're getting on my nerves with how much you're disinterested in this. No one cares about your fat butt or your issues. You've been ruining this whole trip for me just because you won't do what I've asked. Get over yourself. This trip is about me." I could feel myself starting to cry, so I got up and said, "You know, you're right." I excused myself to the bathroom, paid my part of the bill, left the restaurant and started purchasing my Eurostar tickets, took an Uber back to the hotel, packed my stuff and left for London. Realizing I'd left, I was bombarded with texts from the bridal party accusing me of making the bride cry and labeling me as selfish. I'm wondering if I was wrong to prioritize my well-being and peace of mind by leaving early. Am I the idiot for leaving the bachelorette party early after being shouted at and humiliated? Good grief, not the idiot. You communicated what you were comfortable with, but they didn't respect that. Your friend giving you a hard time about wanting to take transit or Uber to locations and then making a cruel comment at the restaurant shows she's self-centered and not really your friend. I'm so confused. She told you that no one cared about you, your issues or your body and that you were ruining her party. So why did she throw a big crybaby pity party when you left? It seems to me that your leaving would have made her happy. Is it possible that she might be an attention-craving narcissist? And all her tears were her realizing she needed to make herself look like the victim again? OP, I'm so proud of you for leaving. No one should be treating you that way, especially your friends. Screw these women, they sound horrible. Never speak to them again. Block every single one. I dropped from the wedding entirely. The event may be centered around her, but the world isn't. She needs to grow up. These are not your friends. You are so much better off. I'm sending you big, gentle hugs for what you're going through too. I understand how you feel about mirrors and pictures.